Hello, everybody. My name is Kristjan, and I'm solving a problem with the company Arbonics. So what is the problem? Europe has a weird problem. Surely everybody knows that we have a climate problem. But the problem is that forests actually could do a lot to solve the climate problem. And in Europe, around 20% of the carbon footprint could be solved with forests, but we are not doing that. Why? Because imagine you are a private landowner. Pretty much the only way to get money for your forest is to cut it down, get timber, and do bad for the planet. So the system is broken. So we're fixing that. And the way is that we need to incentivize, not kind of limit or regulate the landowner. So how do we incentivize the landowner? We haven't figured out a better way than money. And that money comes through carbon credits. So my question to you in the audience would be, carbon markets, many of you know about it, have read it in the media. Who in the audience thinks that carbon markets right now are doing great? Raise your hand. Wow, not a single one, but I expected that. So there is a lot of stories about the carbon markets being in trouble. And honestly, you are right, because partly they are not doing great, because it's just old school way of carbon markets, PDF-based, non-proven, non-transparent. So we are generating the new version of carbon markets, and this is not a startup pitch just with empty words. The market actually, if you combine real data, looks like this. The one below is the legacy 1.0 market, and the 2.0 is the new market that is being formed, and it's reaching billions annually right now, in front of our eyes, but in the media quite often you read that something is still bad, and that's the legacy old market, and it should be bad, because it is bad, and it needs to be improved, but very quickly the new iteration is improving. What is it? It is direct air capture, it is biochar, it is also nature-based transparent solutions. So we are building exactly that. And those are real kind of business deals behind those numbers. And the biggest mover on the market is US tech companies. They understand that the AI footprint will be immense, and that needs to be covered. So they are doing billions of deals every year, almost doubling per year. So if you ask me, like, how are the carbon markets doing, I will ask you, do you mean the old market or the new one? New one is doing great, old one is doing bad. And I think that this is only the start. We now have found a way to build a scalable and big market, and this is happening. So what's the key here? I think it needs to be data-based. The big tech companies need to see that this really works. And I will show you something cool right now, which even surprised me. Because Sebastian before me told you that the waste industry is a no-bullshit industry. We are talking with European landowners. They are quite often conservative, in this business in the long run. If you go to them and say that, hey, we have this new up-and-coming carbon markets, are you interested? They will say that, please leave. That's short. So we need to find a way to tell them how this works and why, and we found the magic of technology that's helping that. So we decided that we'll invest a lot of money into the technology. We raised 9 million so far. Almost half of that has gone into the technology build-up. And we're building a digital version of forest. So if you are a landowner and come to us, within 1 minute we can send you a digital report about your forest and tell exactly how you can earn on carbon. And we found out the landowners love it. They know their land. If the report is very detailed about their land, they will talk to us. So that's the trick with getting them into the game. Weirdly enough, data. So I asked my engineers, build a geoinformatics map to me about all the customer requests that have come to us over the last year. So put it on the map. And that answer surprised us all. I'm going to show you the chart. This is a world premiere. We started in Estonia and Latvia and now moved to other markets. But this is how the map looks. Those dots are not like customer requests. Those are digitized versions of a land and forest. So every dot here is a very detailed digital report. And what surprised our team, in Estonia and Latvia, we pretty much have digitized the whole countries because the customers are so interested. Those are thousands and thousands of landowners who come to us just within the last year. And this has reached now more than 1 million hectares. Do you know how big is the Messukeskus here? It's a huge area. That's around 5 hectares. So we worked through 200,000 more land than this whole area over the last year. So this is just a start. We now moved also to launched in Sweden this spring, also going to Finland, also in UK. You can see that there are a few dots there, not as much in those countries where we have been longer, but we'll get there. So the logic is to digitize the whole Europe. And I will go now a bit more granular for you to show how exactly it works. So this is, in a way, a report we're sending to the landowner. We're zooming into the plot level. And what makes it really complicated is that we need to tell precisely for that landowner, based on data, how their land works. For example, planting a new forest here, this landowner needs to use 3 different soil types and plant also different trees based on that. So they get the logic, but quite often they don't know what's happening in the soil. We have the data. And our unit of measurement is a 5 by 5 meter hexagon. So this is quite tiny actually. And we are, with the European data, which is quite high resolution, we're able to do that. But to get the whole data for the whole country mapped, this is a lot of work. So our data team is going crazy doing our next country, but we have learned how to do this. So for example, when we launched in Sweden, these 5 by 5 meter hexagons, we need to cover the whole Sweden and go 30 data layers deep on each one of 5 by 5 meter hexagons of Sweden. So when a landowner comes to us, no matter which part of Sweden, within 1 minute we are able to send them the report. That's why it's scalable, that's why it's fast. And to be honest, can you imagine talking with that to the US tech company who's a carbon offset buyer? They love it. Because first time ever, they're getting a fully transparent version of land. Everything that is there, that is going to happen, we'll measure it in real time based on remote sensing as well. We're able to do that. So in a way, we're creating a digital world, we're digitizing nature, and that's in the middle. The landowners love it, and the carbon buyers love it, but it's a lot of investment to get it done. But we've done it in 5 countries now, and the plan is to conquer Europe and then look abroad. But just to cover the Europe, that's a 25 million investment at least, but we're right on track to do that. So remote sensing is also one area that is growing really fast. That means that you're able, with satellites, LiDARs, also drones, to measure the forest really precisely. So it's not only getting the data what's there right now, you need to start measuring over time as well. And those kind of maps are getting really cool, how you can also, based on even images from above with different technologies, start to understand the health of the trees, what's happening, how old are the trees. So this is exciting. So the space will get more digitized. And maybe one of my most interesting learnings over time has been that nature is an amazing engineering solution, a system. If you take a tree, I marvel the trees because they're an engineering miracle. How they work over 350 million years, somebody has designed it to be perfect, and it is. So in the end, a tree is a code. It's zeros and ones, but quite often we don't know how to understand nature. If you're understanding nature, are able to measure it with data, and also understanding like which forest to plant to take climate risk into account, which we need to do now, because forest grows for 40 or 50 years, our models also help with that. So in a way, we're combining something that has been there for a long time with technology and help humans to behave better around it. And I think that's the future. So if anybody from you wants to discuss how can we make it big in Europe as well, happy to do that, because European companies are working way slower than the US tech companies on this. So weirdly enough, our biggest potential customers are in US right now. And if European companies don't start moving fast, they will have a huge problem. But that's probably a talk for another session. Thank you so much, and we're ready to digitize the whole Europe and the forest. Thank you.